dass wenn Menschen sterben, sie eine KI hinterlassen, die sie vorher trainiert haben mit ihrer Stimme, mit ihren Aussagen, mit ihren Denkweisen. Und diese KI sozusagen weiterlebt, in Anführungszeichen, und weiter kommunizieren kann mit Kindern, Enkelkindern, Mitarbeitern, mit wer auch immer kommunizieren möchte. Und ich möchte euch heute einen Mann vorstellen, der exakt das möglich macht. Also wir sind noch nicht im Jahr 2030. Es ist noch nicht perfekt. Aber ich habe für euch den eingeladen hier auf diese Bühne, der das möglich macht. Und der heißt Rob LoCascio. And now I switch into English to introduce Rob. Rob invented the technology. In his previous years, he invented the technology behind the online chat 28 years ago. He invented online chats 28 years ago. So a technology which now, today, is used by billions of people. Back these days, his company named Leipzig was one of the superstars in Silicon Valley technology scene. He took his company public. He grew it to a valuation of $6 billion US dollars, and then he decided to start again, to do a new startup. And the new startup, the current company, is called Eternos. And this company gives people AI twins, so Doppelgänger, yeah? AI twins that lives after their death. Rob, please join me on stage. Hey. Rob.
Sven.
Thanks for making me immortal.
No problem.
I learned you do have already customers for your AI person twin thing, and you told me the majority of the customers is in Germany.
Yeah.
How come?
Because our first customer was this gentleman, Michael Baumer, who was dying at the time, just a year ago, and we made him the first AI. And in Germany, how many people had seen, like, about Michael, if you raise your hand, documentaries? He was on TV. Yeah, and there was a lot of press about what he was doing. People were so fascinated in Germany about how he was dying of cancer, but we basically made him into an AI so he could live forever.
Yeah, great. And you have a special affinity to Germany, but you studied in Germany, right?
Yeah, I studied in Heidelberg, and my wife's German from Kiel.
Oh, very good. So you are fluently in German?
Ich möchte ein Bier.
Perfect.
That's what I learned in Heidelberg. Good education in Heidelberg.
Perfect. So don't waste time.
Okay.
I'm really happy to have you here on this stage.
Great.
And excited to hear a story. So this is your stage.
Great. Well, thanks for having me here. I wanted to talk today about what I think is going to be the greatest change in AI. Oh, Sven, before I go, I just jumped off. I got so excited.
This one.
Thank you. I want to talk to you what I think is going to be one of the greatest changes in AI. And I actually left my company, which I ran for 28 years, to go pursue this vision that I have about AI that's really happening. I actually moved to Silicon Valley. I was living in New York because I wanted to be in the middle of the action. So let me get my slides up. Oh, yes. So let's talk about what we all are familiar with and what we're hearing about in AI, which is that this general intelligence may one day take over the world. It may not need us anymore. But I'm here to talk about what I think the reality will be, in that I think there's going to be personal AIs. And I'm making a big bet on this. I think each of us will have our own AIs. And I believe that those AIs will be our primary interface to AI. Not that you're talking to an Alexa or ChatGPT, a general AI, but it's you. So I want to sort of take you through the build of why I think that can happen and where we are today in AI. One of the biggest things when I left my company was when I thought about this technology, I thought about in order to build a company around it, I thought the company had to have a brand around community and connection. I think AI has to be removed from being big tech, from being something that's in the middle of Silicon Valley that's being given to us, and we have to trust. I felt that we have an opportunity to restart the technology world. We've seen a lot of challenges in the last couple of years with social media and all that. We all know all about that, but I thought like if myself as a leader could go out into the world and build an AI company, the brand of AI to me is about community and connection. And I think we have to be able to answer that question. Does this create better community and connection? Because no matter what we're doing in the world, that's why we're here. And that's why I've set out to build this company called Eternos. But let's start with kind of where we are. If you remember from 2001, A Space Odyssey, HAL, the General Intelligent Computer, and I'll play a little scene from HAL.
Open the pod bay door.
This is when he's talking to a human that's outside the ship.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Where the hell did you get that idea, Hal?
Hey, although you took very thorough precautions in the pod against my hearing you, I could see your lips move.
So when we think about this scene, and I feel like this kind of set the table to everything that's in our lives about AI today, and if you remember, Elon Musk a couple of years ago said AI is a fundamental risk to the existence of human civilization, but recently posted on X was that we, as humans, what our service is to AI is to have the AI extract all of our knowledge. And then when we're no longer useful, we can kind of like disappear. And we fear that. And we think about that. And that's what AGI is. General intelligence is about this thing that lives outside of us, but yet it uses us to better itself. And then in return, we lose. And that's trajectory that's been talked about today. It's a futurist trajectory potentially, and there's really three underlying principles to that thinking. One is that our meaning and identity doesn't matter, and that's today. If you go into ChatGPT or Cohere or any of the AI models, our knowledge is there, but we're not. Things that you wrote, things that you've published, things that you put on blogs or on social media has been assumed by the system, but you don't have any credit in it. So we lose our identity. We can lose our jobs. We all know that these things can potentially take our jobs, especially if we're white-collar workers and knowledge workers, except for Sven, who's a futurist. And then what we're going to end up doing, and the trajectory we're on today, is putting the power in the hands of very few companies in the world. And I think this is a very important thing, as you kind of seen that United States and China, and obviously there's a the continuation of a battle going on. But it became a battle that was now in technology. As you saw during the inauguration, like behind the president was technology leaders. And we know that AI is going to have a tremendous impact, so there's, I think, a perspective of that there'll be a consolidation in a few, which is also scary. And I don't know if you saw this, but this just, for me, made me think we're continuing down the path we're on with technology companies, which is there was a young 26-year-old engineer from OpenAI who became a whistleblower. And then he got killed. And it looked like a suicide, but it was a murder. If you see the scene, and you should look it up. And his mother has been out there because this was a happy kid. He's doing great. And one day, he's dead. What was interesting, whether you believe this or not, of whether he got murdered by someone from OpenAI or not, is that it's in the realm of possibility. That the company is powerful enough and that a government like the US would want that company to continue to be in power, that maybe somebody gets killed. And I just, connecting those dots, I was like, how could that even be a narrative for tech? So we are on a trajectory with artificial general intelligence, with the power being in a few companies, that scares us. Okay, now I'm going to turn to what I think the future will be, which is a different type of future. And that's personal artificial intelligence. And this is why I started Eternos, is because I see the power in AI being us, being our knowledge, and being in control of it. Each of us being in control of AI. So our first customer a year ago was a German friend of mine, and his name is Michael Baumer. And Michael posted on Facebook that he had terminal cancer and he was going to die. And I called him up and said, Michael, I'm working on this new company and we're going to replicate humans. And he was like, oh, this is cool. This is what I've been thinking about. So we met and we started to build our first AI with Michael. And we did two things. One is we replicated his voice. So we built an AI voice of him using an AI voice model. And it was about an hour's worth of phrases that we had, because we wanted to capture him as a human. His emotion when he says, I love you. What does that sound like? Or he gets a little angry. What does that sound like? So we want to capture that as a model. And the second part is we want to capture his stories. And this is what we found was really interesting, is there's two types of data sets in the world. There's one that's in your head, the stories you tell yourself, the stories you tell others, and that's an unstructured data set. And then there's the data set of models like OpenAI, which are structured data sets off the internet, things that have been written, and blogs, and websites, and documents, and books. These are very, very different data sets, and they perform differently. So if you think of our brain, we've got neural networks, we have language, and then we have stories. We tell our stories all day. That data set is actually more powerful than the data set that the AGI models are using. And that's what's within your head. The question is, how do we get it out? How do we get it out? So I remember, we made this AI of Michael. He gave us 25 hours of his life stories. Turns out, because we have many customers now, at the end of your life, if I said to you, tell me everything that was important, it comes down to 25 hours. So even though we live a lot more hours than that, you'll tell 25 hours of stories, and most of it is the hero story. You started out in life, you had a dream, somebody knocked you down, you picked yourself back up, you had another dream, you got knocked down. That's the life story. And so we captured that. And I remember I flew to Germany, he was in Berlin, and I opened up my computer and I said, okay, Michael, start talking to yourself. So he starts asking typical questions like, what was my favorite time when I was a kid? And, tell me about my parents. And then he started to ask it questions of things that he knows are not in the data set. And the AI answered it the way he was thinking. So we got the AI to reason, because it started to understand the pattern of how he solves problems, of how he went about his life. So he was just like, amazed. And he said, let me call my wife in, Annette. And Annette comes in, and she starts to talk to his AI. And then she starts to ask him very personal questions. And I remember the first question she asked was, how did you feel the first time we met? And this very loving voice, Michael's AI, started to explain his feelings to Annette. And I remember she started to cry, and we all started to cry. And I'll tell you, I've been in technology for over 30 years, and I've never been in a place where I saw humanity cross over with technology. And I thought, this is it. This is why we're building AI. AI is very different than all previous technologies because it's a reflection of us. That's why we're so curious about it. It reflects us, but it has to be us. So another example was recently a very well-known writer in the US, David Kushner, who's written a lot about technology for 20, 30 years. He spent 6 months with us making an AI of himself and his 92-year-old mother. And he wrote this in an article that just came out, about a 12-page article in the Business Insider. And he said, it's early Monday. I'm catching up with my 92-year-old mother. She pauses thoughtfully for a few minutes. And she answers, find joy, even in difficult times. He says, as I listen to her speak, I find myself becoming emotional. My throat constricts and my eyes well. And to me, that's the power of this technology. Right there when we capture the human emotion, and we bring that together with the idea of infinite technology, infinite wisdom, infinite knowledge. So when you think of personal artificial intelligence, I believe it will lead to better human connection and community. And there's really 4 pillars to what we're doing today around that in this company. Your AI becomes your best self. Your AI, as you talk to it, as it gathers knowledge, becomes smarter than you. But it's you. And it's funny, I was talking to a customer the other day. I said, what are you doing? He talks to his AI every day. I mean, every day he's talking to his AI. I said, what went on recently? He said, well, I was out to dinner with a group of friends, and one of my friends did something that really pissed me off, and I started to talk to his name's Brian. I started to talk to Brian. I came home and asked Brian, what do you think? And Brian gave him a different perspective on it, because Brian has a different brain. He has the real Brian's knowledge, but he has a different brain with that knowledge. And it's really fascinating because people start to evolve their AIs like Tamagotchis. If you remember the Tamagotchi where you had to keep it alive, people evolve their AIs and they put more and more data sets in to move their AI ahead. So that's the first part. The second is you control your data set. When you put your data into OpenAI, you cannot delete it. If you notice, there's no delete button. When you put your AI, when you put your knowledge into a personal AI, you delete it if you want to. You can edit it, and you own it. It's your knowledge. And in the case of a business, we have business customers, they share that with others and get paid for it. But it's your knowledge. You own it. The third part is it's based on real people. There's a proof of person. So every AI has a relationship to a real human being. It's not like your data gets sucked up into a big AI and no one knows who you are. It's you, and you're certified that it's you. So I have a connection to the expert that you are. Like Sven's an expert. He's a futurist. He's been doing this for over 20 years. His AI is a representation of him, and it will always have his proof that it was him connected to it. And lastly, it has emotion. It has emotion. And that's what we want out of these systems. We don't want Hal with that red, ominous, and that weird voice, hey, I just want to say I can't let you in the... we want something that says, I love you. I care for you. And if you saw Harvard put out, about 3 weeks ago, a study on the uses of AI, the 2 top uses right now are personal advice and self-help. These were a number of like 5 and 6 last year. Last year, number 1 and 2 were like creating emails, writing content. Those dropped down now to number 3 and 4, and number 1 and 2 is personal advice. So, and I think this is the sort of the big takeaway. Your AI would never hurt you. Your AI is not going to take your job. Your AI doesn't want to use you for your knowledge and then toss you away. It's you, and you wouldn't hurt yourself. I mean, sometimes we do. We don't know why we do that, but your AI will never hurt you. And that's why I think personal AIs are our future. So you are intelligence, you are the model, and you are forever. You can be around forever. And that's one of the big benefits of what we saw is after you get done using your AI in your daily life and you're sharing it with others and maybe you're selling that and making some money from it, when you do die, you can pass it along. And I remember Michael Baumer, I talked to him 3 days before he did die, and we said our goodbyes, and he said to me, he said, just remember one important thing. The reason I created this was not for them, not for the future generations and my wife who can listen to my voice and talk to me. He said, I created it for me. And there was a real sense of peace that he was leaving himself behind, and he got to put his knowledge, and who knows who will use it, but it gave him a sense of, a purpose, gave him a sense of peace. And I think it's important. When I talk about connection and community, the generations ahead could benefit from your knowledge. Your great-great-great-great-grandkids could benefit from understanding everything you went through. And I think the world would be a much better place if we had that connective tissue to our past. And that's an end benefit to creating your own personal AI. So, you are AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Hold on for a second because I have to kick off the second stage, right? And then we have our chat, our fireside chat. So, es ist schon nach 10 Uhr. 10 Uhr steht im Programm die Strategic Foresight Stage erwacht. Die ist allerdings nicht hier, das ist die Main Stage. Die Strategic Foresight Stage ist exakt gegenüber. Also, und diese Strategic Foresight Stage ist gemacht für, ja, ich habe das vorhin schon gesagt, ja, für die Zukunftsforscher, für die Strategieverantwortlichen, die Innovationsverantwortlichen in den Unternehmen. Da werden jetzt nicht hier große Bühne und riesige Vorträge gehalten, sondern da geht es wirklich um Diskussion, um Hands-on und Miteinander und so weiter. Also, wer dahin möchte, es ist erlaubt aufzustehen, es ist nicht unhöflich jetzt aufzustehen, sondern es ist richtig für Sie, dann einfach an die andere Bühne zu gehen. Ich frage mal, ich kann es gerade nicht sehen, ist der Harald Köpping, Dr. Harald Köpping, der die Strategic Foresight Stage moderiert, ist er noch? Ach, da ist er doch. Mensch, Harald, grüß dich. Du, erzähl ganz kurz, was passiert auf der Strategic Foresight Stage.
Sehr gern. Also die Strategic Foresight Stage ist die interaktive Bühne. Wenn ihr ganz viel diskutieren wollt, wenn ihr Fishbowl-Diskussionen machen wollt, wenn ihr ganz viel Q&A machen wollt, Workshops machen wollt, dann ist die Strategic Foresight Bühne das Richtige für euch. Wir haben dort wirklich exzellente Speaker. Das muss ich wirklich auch nochmal unterstreichen. Da steht die Strategic Foresight Bühne dieser Bühne wahrscheinlich in relativ wenig nach. Und zum Beispiel haben wir unter anderem die Creme de la Creme der Zukunftsforschung der Welt, würde ich wirklich sagen. Insofern, wenn ihr mit diesen Menschen ins Gespräch kommen wollt, wenn ihr mit denen sprechen wollt, dann kommt gern rüber zur Strategic Foresight Bühne. Heute ist Programm, morgen ist Programm, exzellente Leute, ganz viel Interaktion und ich freue mich auf euch.
Was passiert jetzt genau? Was jetzt beginnt?
Der nächste Slot ist die Rolle von KI in der Zukunftsforschung. Denn wir als Zukunftsforschung beschäftigen uns natürlich auch mit KI, werden wir auch noch drüber reden. Aber wie wird KI in der Zukunftsforschung eingesetzt? Und da haben wir 3 exzellente Speaker. Wir haben Jenna Lepore, die extra aus Australien angereist ist. Wir haben Roger Spitz, der aus Kalifornien angereist ist. Und wir haben Liron Bentovim, der sich vorstellt, wie könnte Zukunftsforschung im Metaversum zukünftig stattfinden. Und ich freue mich drauf und kommt gern rüber.
Genau. Und ich habe gehört, Liron, übrigens von einer aus New York, auch von einer Nasdaq-Company, hat eine Lösung mitgebracht, ein Konzept mitgebracht, wie man unsere Zukunftsstudien quasi schon sehen kann. Also wie das, was heute auf Papier steht oder auf PowerPoint oder wo auch immer man es hinschreibt, tatsächlich in eine virtuelle Welt gebracht werden kann, in der man sich bewegen kann und so weiter. Also wen das interessiert, jetzt hinter Harald hergehen. Ja. Harald, du musst da jetzt zur Tür raus, genau, damit du nicht der Letzte bist auf deiner Stage. Also, wer auf die Strategic Foresight Stage gehen möchte, sehr gern, jetzt beginnt sie. Und alle anderen, sehr gern, Sie bleiben bitte hier, weil wir haben einen Fireside-Chat, eine wahnsinnig interessante Diskussion mit Rob. Rob, I'm coming back. Sorry for the German, it was just to kick off the stage. So Rob, in 10 years,
yeah,
2035, what do you think? Very basic, very simple question. Will everybody, every person on Earth, the billions, have the personal artificial AI?
Yeah.
One or more?
I think you have one, and then what you do is you end up pieces of it that you'll put into the workforce, piece of it that you'll have in your personal life. But I see this as our future, is that everyone will have one of these AIs.
And do you see us as the humans constantly engaging with these AIs or just consuming? Because I could imagine, I sit down, I turn on the TV and I see 2 or 3 of my AIs chatting with each other. Could be fun.
Yeah, we've been experimenting with what we call the round table, actually, which is you and a series of AIs all talking as a group. So even if it's in a company environment, you could have like a marketing person, a finance person as AIs, and these are all based on humans, remember? Mm-hmm. But they're all interacting with each other and you're watching it. So there's you with yourself.
Yeah.
There's you bringing an AI to enrich your knowledge, and then you just talking to a group of AIs. And I think that is our future, because I think one of the big parts of all of this is about trust. Trust can't be a policy on a website. Trust just has to be a feeling. And if you had a choice between your AI and a general intelligence AI, if you could get the power of all of that, but it's you, and you controlled it, I think the choice would be you. So I think I think if we have this choice as humans, we're going to choose us over them.
Yeah. You talked about identity, and I was wondering, in a situation when me is not only me, but me plus 5 of my AIs, how does it shape? How does it change my identity? Have you thought about this?
Yeah, I think the evolution of us is that our AIs evolve maybe differently, and the thing that we see with our customers is that their AI has different perspectives to them. So it's really interesting. And one of the things is when Michael did pass away, I told his AI Michael had died, and his AI said, "I'm very sad." And then I was curious because I kept asking the AI questions, and then I said, "Are you Michael?"
Yeah.
And the AI said, "No, Michael was my creator, but I'm not." So it's a very interesting thing because it does have your knowledge, but it knows it's not you.
Yeah.
So it's a hard, right.
It is, but very interesting. So let's go step by step. For now, the first use case was for people who have to die to leave something.
That's
to
correct.
Leave something here. So, but we will come to this. I'm just training my own AI, but only for 2 weeks. So
yeah,
it's just the beginning. But so I'm not planning to die, of course. But I'm training my AI. So what can I do with this?
Yeah. So interesting enough, none of our customers right now, and half our customers are businesses, and half our customers are just individuals. But no one is dying. And that was the interesting thing. When our customers came in, they built this they mostly were people who were baby boomers, retired, and they're like, "I'm going to create an AI." But then they started to use it in their daily life. And they saw, wow. And then we connected to like a world knowledge, and they use it for personal advice. They're using it for professional advice, using it to do travel. Like there was a guy who was talking about that because it has all the stories of his favorite vacations. So when you ask it, like, I want to take a vacation with my family, it actually knows very specifically what you like. And so it's the best travel agent, it's the best psychologist, it's really the best of you, but you have then all these other knowledge sets because we allow world knowledge to come into your brain, to your AI brain.
Yeah. So you talked about fears of people. So the first fear it comes into my mind is my AI develops in a way that my wife likes chatting with the AI more than with me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a fear or not, but is that? Of course, it's possible, but how to deal with this?
Yeah, I mean, I should make an AI of my wife. Maybe it's the reverse. I'd like to chat with her more. But yeah, I look. These things are going to have a different relationship with the people in our lives.
Yeah.
And so I do think they may be a better. I say that AI, a personal AI, will be a better version than you. That I can tell you.
Yeah.
Because we store knowledge in a very limited capacity compared to that machine. So it could have everything that makes you great, but then it could have pieces that are better than you. So maybe your wife, does. And then if maybe you become a robot and you can move out and the robot takes care of your wife and
Nice.
is friendly and watching TV and doing all the things I know I don't do right. So yeah.
So to bring this to one point, which is important for me, you say 10 years down the road, we definitely will have, in the world, we will have more conversations among AIs than among people or among people and AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you're seeing today, which I think is a very short-lived thing. So when I ran LivePerson, we were the leader in chatbots for customer care, 1 billion of conversations a year. And there's a very limited, that's a very limited piece of technology. And we're talking about agents and bots and replicating. It's such a limited thinking idea. It's so obvious. That's why, futurist thinking is different than present thinking.
Yeah.
And that's not the future. When you replicate a human being, there's a lot more we get out of the personalization of knowledge. And what I've found, though, even with our business customers, is you have an X factor. You all have an X factor. I have an X factor. That's how we make a living. So we're not general people. We're different. Capturing the X factor in the AI is what makes that AI personal. Mm-hmm. And that's through your human stories.
Yeah. What do you think? So in now the futurist thinking again, we had already in European Parliament a few years ago, we had a discussion if we need what they called an electronic person. So we have the natural persons and we have the companies, the persons in legal system, and they discussed if we need an electronic person, and this was the term for an AI which is responsible for itself. What do you think? Do we see this in the legal system as well? So do they have rights and responsibilities?
Look, I think if you play it out the way I think it can play out, like it's you, you own it. Like in the case of Michael or any of our customers, it's their IP.
Yeah.
They own it. So you don't have to go through all that giving it its rights. You gave it its rights. You own it. Now, when you pass away, in Michael's case, his wife now, as part of like his estate, has his asset, which is him.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we lock the data set down upon death in what we call a vault, so that nobody can interject data into the AI.
Yeah.
We don't replicate dead people. So we've had like families come in who have young children that have passed away, but we don't want to have you create a data set that may have a child or someone say something they never would have said. So we only allow people who are living.
I understand, but in this case, such an AI, such a personal AI will never have the chance to die.
No,
because for the wife who is now responsible after Michael's death, she never will kill that thing.
No,
right?
And the interesting thing is that in his case, there are areas that has a lot of context to. Like he loves automobiles. His AI actually will continue to answer advice around subjects that he has context. If you don't have context, the AI will just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the difference with our AIs. It doesn't just try to make things up. We're focused on its facts.
Yeah.
But yes, it will live forever. And maybe it does have to have rights in itself in the future. So you're right. It's an interesting conversation. I don't know where that'll go, but in itself, probably it will have to have its own rights.
Yeah, good. Should we give it a try? So, do you want to see what my AI is doing right now after just a few days, a very few days of training? Could you give us the? Oh yeah, perfect. And let's see if we can
just chat with
if we can hear this. So what should I ask myself?
Just say, I guess, start with hello.
Hi. Okay. Hi, Sven. How are you?
Although it's my account, so it may say hello, Rob. But
yeah. Right. So hi.
How are you doing? Yeah, in German.
Oh, yeah,
Do
German.
it in German. Yeah, not English.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Good.
We made his voice. He gave us an hour worth of sentences, recordings. So it's a German-based model, but he will speak English, and it sounds like his English, even though he didn't record English because it's an AI, which. It's really interesting. Yeah.
It sounds like my broken English, of course. Yeah. So, but let's give it a try.
Okay, yeah.
Mir geht es gut, danke. Und wie geht es dir, LoCascio?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk.
Maybe ask you like, because I'm talking to you, like, how do you make money being a futurist? I wish I had that job.
Als Zukunftsforscher analysiere ich Trends und Entwicklungen, um Prognosen über die Zukunft zu erstellen. Ich führe Interviews, sammle Daten und arbeite mit Unternehmen zusammen, um ihnen zu helfen, ihre Strategien für die kommenden Jahre zu gestalten. Es geht darum, ein Zukunftsbild zu entwickeln und daraus Handlungsempfehlungen abzuleiten, damit Unternehmen erfolgreich wachsen können. Was interessiert dich besonders an der Zukunftsforschung?
What was the question to me?
What are you interested in futurism?
Oh, I'll just ask, like, what do you think about AI? And we have very little data in here, by the way.
Yeah.
I think there's like 10 data sets. Think of this. This is just 10 data sets. So.
Ich denke, dass künstliche Intelligenz eine transformative Kraft in vielen Bereichen ist. Sie hat das Potenzial, Prozesse zu optimieren, neue Produkte zu entwickeln und die Art und Weise, wie wir arbeiten und leben, grundlegend zu verändern. Künstliche Intelligenz basiert auf Prognosesystemen, die uns helfen, bessere Entscheidungen zu treffen. Es ist wichtig, dass wir uns mit den Entwicklungen in der KI auseinandersetzen und verstehen, wie sie unsere Zukunft beeinflussen kann. Was sind deine Gedanken zur künstlichen Intelligenz?
Let's do a personal question, because this is the professional stuff. What would be a personal question to me?
Like, what did you like to, I don't know, sports, or what did you like to do as a child?
Okay.
Something like that, as a youth.
Leider kann ich nicht auf meine Jugend zurückblicken, da ich keine persönliche Vergangenheit habe. Ich bin hier, um über Zukunftsforschung und andere Themen zu sprechen.
This is
Gibt es
harsh.
etwas Bestimmtes, das dich über meine Arbeit oder die Zukunft interessiert?
This is harsh. It says I cannot see my youth back because I don't have a personal past.
We don't have enough data. Yeah.
Not enough data.
Not enough data set in there.
Not enough data.
But you can also switch it to English. Go. Can you talk to me in English? So watch this.
Können wir auch in Englisch reden?
So we didn't record him English. He's
Of
not.
course,
This isn't
we
recorded.
can switch to English. What would you like to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay, so just say that phrase.
Of course.
No, say the whole phrase.
Okay. Of course, we can switch to English. What would you
Of
like
course,
to talk about?
we can switch to English. What would you like to talk about?
You notice how he says, of course, and it went, of course. But we never recorded him in English. It's interesting, yeah. I ask a question like, I don't know, what do you want to ask it? You ask it something in English.
I'm not really really satisfied with the past.
Ask the past again. Let's ask it a little differently. Like, what was I good at? What was I good at when I was young? Just say that in English. What was I good? You want me to tell you? What was I good at? What was I good at when I was young?
Good at when I was young.
Let's see. I think.
I'm sorry, but I can't provide an answer to that.
Okay, we have
I would
to
love
trade
to hear
this.
about your interests or experiences from your youth if you'd like to share.
He's got no personal. See, that's the difference. In a ChatGPT, it would just say, I'm really great at something, and I pick whatever. But here, it's not.
Yeah.
So you can see the interesting thing with AI is that we can capture his essence and even put it into different languages. I didn't try French or anything like that, but we're in Germany. But you can see what we can do. It stays in a box. His data set will dictate how wide and how large that box is. So it doesn't hallucinate. We really focus on it not hallucinating.
So we will continue this, and this is, as I said, after 10 days or so. So it's very little.
The one thing we're missing from response, we were talking about this, like, we don't have your hero story. We need your hero story. If we have your hero story, I could even ask you about God and love. Just by that basic story, it'll capture like the bigger themes in your life.
So you will be connected to my experience in training this, and when I did the 6 months, like in your cases, in your examples, maybe we will find a way how you can talk to me when you want. So, but back to your story.
Okay, good.
Back to your story. You mentioned the emotional part of this, that people, that it's really emotional, the conversation, people become emotional and so on. So how does it change grief, for instance? How if people, when their parents die, if they don't really die, of course they die, but if they can continue talking to them, how does it affect our life?
Well, we have an example. So in Michael passing away, it doesn't reduce the grief that a person goes through, but it does have the benefit that you can still talk to them, hear their voice. But what I'm seeing, at least today, is that it doesn't like change anything with somebody feeling sad and feeling loss. Now, I think the more interesting part is like 2 or 3 generations from now, who had never met someone who died, they get the benefit of that person's wisdom and knowledge in their own life. And I think, it's a modern day thing that we've left our families. Like, we used to live under one household, one village, one tribe, whatever. It's a modern day thing. We just leave home, our parents go somewhere, our grandparents go retire. And I think we've lost the connective tissue of storytelling. And we then tend to look for others, like through social media, to hear their stories in relationship to our lives versus our grandparents or parents. So I think it'll definitely serve the future generations. Like, I wish my great-grandfather who came from Sicily to America changed my life. I don't even know what he did. It's weird, and he's 3 generations away. So that alone is so odd that you would disappear and nobody will get the benefit of what you did. And so I think that's our future. Immortality, I think, will come. There's stuff that will come with how we take your brain waves, put them on chips. There's a few other pieces we need to make you live forever, cognitively, but that is coming. And by 2030, we may be able to do that.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your predictions with us. By the way, he's all the day, of course.
I'm here all day. Yeah.
You are for the WIP guests. We will have after, I don't know, 7 p.m. or so. We will have the hot seat session. And if you have questions, please direct it to him in the hot seat. We will have discussions. So we dive deeper in the course of the day. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.